Welcome back, everyone, to Just Another Year Chicago Bulls edition here. I am very lucky to have a special guest with me, Zach Nigut, the founder of the benchmob. The title that the Chicago Bulls bench has received back in 2010, thanks to him, during the Bulls' deep playoff run. You remember guys like Taj Gibson, Ronnie Brewer, Kyle Kover, give me the hot sauce, CJ Watson. And now guys like Alex Caruso, Tony Bradley Jr., Alize, Io, more have been bringing it back to life this year. So we are super excited to have him on. But just to be working with Zach and his team. So just a reminder, all of our Bulls episodes throughout the regular season are sponsored by the benchmob. So head over to their website and use code JAY20 for 20% off your order. A percentage of those proceeds go to charities, organizations, groups around Chicago, including CJ Watson's Quiet Storm Foundation. So Zach, welcome to the show, my man. Thanks for joining.
Awesome, Nick. Really appreciate you having me on, and glad to be here and looking forward to chatting.
Absolutely. Well, as you know, man, and you know better than anyone else, we've seen a lot of comparisons, with today's team and the 2010, 2011 Bulls. And that is, in fact, where it all got started for you. So first, Zach, we just need to know the origin story and how benchmob got started as an endeavor for you.
Yeah. So I've always been a diehard Bulls fan. So back in that 2010 season, I think it was actually Taj Gibson that had said something about the benchmob, but it was just the fact that their second unit brought so much energy and, just that grit and grind style play that the city loved, right? Like as Chicago fans, with all of our sports, right? We appreciate guys that go out there and just sort of leave it all out there on the court, and that team just sort of embodied it. So I'm a graphic designer by sort of trade and background. My skills have morphed since, but back then I threw together a logo, which is the benchmob logo we see today, and threw it up online. At that point, it was just Twitter. There was I guess there was Facebook. Yeah, rocking the shirt. Appreciate that. And it sort of just took off virally, man. Fans sort of liked it. The players liked it. And so that logo led to me trying to learn how to run an e-commerce business. We started selling t-shirts and things like that. The players really dug them. So I would send stuff to the guys regularly, and they got a kick out of that. And actually the United Center ended up carrying some of the stuff at the team store, which was really cool. And, it was great to have the brand and, work with the players and stuff, but I wanted it to be more. So I was able to partner with CJ Watson and his family. They have the Quiet Storm Foundation. CJ obviously doesn't have an active NBA career anymore. He's still involved in basketball, but the foundation, as he traveled around to different places, would do good in that city and help. So a portion of all the sales from all the benchmob gear would go to give back to the community and help with what CJ and his family were doing through the Quiet Storm Foundation. So we still work with them to this day, which is really cool. We enjoy working with them, do a ton of marketing stuff, and try to help them out with their events. But yeah, it really was just, Taj saying something and me coming up with the logo and social media taking it from there.
Yeah. That's funny that you said that Taj kind of spearheaded that, because I was wondering, because it had to have caught on with, a certain player first. That's how everything goes, and it rolls from there. And for some reason, that just doesn't surprise me that it was Taj. I mean, he was that big energy guy. And I mean, again, I think it's awesome that you kind of relaunched this year. I know you've probably had a lot of life events happening since that 2010 season. So it feels good. It feels almost full circle for me, like coming from a fan standpoint, where I do remember, I mean, the benchmob, that phrase is what I almost remember the most about, that year. Obviously, Derrick Rose comes to mind the most, but the benchmob, that was that phrase that you were hearing all the time nationally, not even just locally. So it's a real full circle moment to me when I'm talking to the guy that, I was admiring the players, with their apparel on the bench. So super cool, man. And, would you mind expanding a little bit just on those specific organizations? I know you kind of mentioned CJ, yeah. But you were telling me off air that you have been working with a lot more, local Chicago folks, yeah. Just because CJ's has moved since. Yeah. If you wouldn't mind elaborating on that a little bit.
Sure. So yeah, so like I said, the goal is obviously I'm a diehard Bulls fan, so I enjoy like everybody, right, watching all the games and cheering on the team and stuff. But I want it to be bigger and more than that. So really giving back and obviously, as mentioned, we still work with CJ and his foundation. They are more stationed and focused on Las Vegas, where he's from. So helping youth out there. So I really wanted to try to put more energy and effort and funds from the proceeds of the sales of our products into Chicago and keep it local in that sense. So this season already, we've been able to donate to Feed the Friends for 2 different nights through Englewood Barbie's Club 51 organization or group. So she goes and helps some of these people that are less fortunate living on the streets, make sure they have a warm meal, a place with some shelter. Recently, she's been able to move people actually into some apartments, which is really cool. So she's sort of rock solid person, man, and just a total Chicago kid that has come up through sort of not the best environment and is just shining a light on doing good in Chicago. So, we really appreciate, her efforts and wanted to support her. Moving forward, as you mentioned, we relaunched the brand. So it sort of disappeared for a while. It was going for a couple years strong. I've started my own businesses besides benchmob. I started a family. I actually was moved out into Colorado now, so I'm not in Chicago, but I get back quite often. But so, I just had a passion and miss the community. I really miss the community, and this team, as you said, has been sort of built up and deep again. So the hope is that as we continue to, build more of a reputation and more of a staple again within Bulls Nation, that we can start to partner and work with more foundations. We're definitely in discussions with other groups and organizations, and obviously we'll, let everybody know through social media as those new relationships get formed, and know that, a portion of all your profit or our profits go towards, helping those in need in the Chicago area.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think it's cool that you're actively, staying relevant within the community, not, because you do plenty of, you do a lot of social media stuff. Obviously you got the apparel. So just knowing that that's going on in the back end, that should make everyone feel really good. So I hope that that's a huge impact, man, that you're doing. And but yeah, not to pivot off of the real life significant things here, but I did want to ask you, who is your favorite benchmob roster? I just have to.
That's a tough one. Obviously, I have a personal relationship with CJ and his family, so that has a special place in my heart. I think just Taj, with the energy that he used to bring back in the day, was unbelievable. I had the opportunity to go to that Eastern Conference Finals series against the Heat, and that putback dunk that he put over Wade. I literally just got goosebumps saying it. I don't know if I've ever heard the United Center that loud before. So that just like sticks with me. But, the current roster, man, I'm really loving what AK, and Mark Eversley have done. And I think they built so much depth, and that's why I was excited to try to bring benchmob back, because I see a lot of parallels with just, hey, of course our starting five's great, but those next 5-6 guys are they're all studs, man. And they bring so much to the court. So, watching guys like Javante with his heart, hustle, and muscle, and AC with this lockdown defense, those guys they're integral to this team. And I feel a little gypped, right? Not only because of COVID, but just because of injuries. It's like, I still think that the team hasn't seen its full potential. We haven't had much of a game where like everybody's healthy. So I'm really excited to see it all come together. And like the bench mob is actually the bench mob and not the starters.
Right. I know, man. It's so true. And just, and I think, of course you picked an awesome year to relaunch, at least so far, seeing a pretty great start from the Bulls. And like you said, obviously a lot has to do with their starting five, but especially now with COVID, it's been more apparent than ever that, these guys come from, I was telling a friend of mine, I'm like, we didn't even know if Io was going to be out of the G League. I think when we, months back, we would have assumed he'd be balling the G League right now, and just the minutes that he's put up. And I think just it goes back to that principle of the bench mob, where it's just, you're making the most of your minutes, knowing your role. And it just seems like these guys do that, man. They don't get too selfish. I think, guys like Caruso and Lonzo with that pass first mentality, I think they kind of they kind of just set the bar for that unselfishness to where when you go in, you're playing for the team, man. And I think that's like the whole, the whole core principle of bench mob. So I think it's awesome to see, not only our confidence going up in the starting five, but our confidence going up when, when they come off the floor. So that's definitely not something I can say I've felt very much since 2010 or 11. Right. So
No, yeah, they've had parts, but they haven't been playing for each other. And like to your point, I think they really are playing for each other. They're playing for the fans in the city. I mean, obviously you mentioned Derrick Rose, with the original team, but to have Io and now Alfonso McKinney, to have two Chicago kids on the squad just makes it that much cooler. And they're both balling out, which makes it awesome. And it's like, again, you just get that energy, right? Like those guys step on the court, the fans feel it, the UC feels it, and everybody appreciates it, I think. And I think that that's a really, really cool connection.
For sure. For sure. It really hammers home just the team vibe and that experience that, we just haven't, and I've been to, I think 3 games so far this year. And I mean, I can confidently say, man, I just haven't felt that camaraderie, for a while. Again, it's probably since 2010 or 11, just not only with the players, but the fans. The vibe is just a lot better at the United Center, and just with an iconic team, an iconic stadium like that's what you want, man. So, well, I do have to ask one more thing. Well, 2 more things, but first, I need you to give me your favorite mobber of all time. And I know it could be a little bit biased, but I'm so curious just because, you throw in the new team here and obviously the iconic 2010-11 team. So if you were to nail it down to one mobber, who's it going to be, Zach?
That's tough, man. If I'm staying current right now, I got to go with Javante, man. He's been bringing the energy. He's been bringing the defense. He also rocks our bench mob wristbands, which is really cool. We greatly appreciate that, man. So I'd have to say that was current. And like I said, the past guys, I couldn't have done any of this without CJ but Taj, brought for sure that original energy and came up with a lot of this. So, I can't pick one. I gave you 3.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man. That's very fair. It's tough to nail down, but Javante, especially after, what we've seen this season, he's hard not to pick. I feel like he has a million tentacles at all time. I mean, he just has his arm, his hand and everything. So you got to give him credit for that. The energy there.
And I think he was a surprise, like you said with Io, like, people weren't expecting much out of Io, and Javante, I think, sort of was one of those guys that people didn't expect much out of, didn't really even know much out of when he came from Boston. And, he stepped up. I mean, it was a huge surprise in the preseason to see him start. And then, all he's done is come in and produced. And, while he might not put up, the huge offensive points, it's that heart and hustle. And I really feel that that's, the core of what bench mob is, right? And why the fans gravitate towards not just the brand, but, all those bench players. I was thinking though, when you said, all-time favorites, I was thinking about nicknames though, not just players. And it took me back, and, shout out to Stacy. We hope you come back soon, man. We know you're fighting COVID, so hopefully that's on the upswing for you. But Brian Scalabrine, man, when we had the White Mamba.
Oh yeah.
We had Omer Sheik with the Turkish Hammer. We had Kurt Thomas, Big Sexy. I mean, those are some quality nicknames, dude. We got to get some better ones coming out now for the new crew.
The best. Yeah, we get well soon, Stacy. We need that wit back out there. You got to love the nicknames. It just makes everything better, more exciting, and it just sticks in your head more. I mean, I'll never forget that run, man. So, and I'm hoping that we can become another unforgettable team here. So, well, I appreciate you elaborating on bench mob, man. I really just wanted to get into, a little bit of the background there and really how it started. I was telling you off air, I'm just curious myself on, how that got rolling, but it makes sense. One guy kind of catches on, and when it's a good, when it's rooted in good cause, charitable causes, it's easier to, to really back that up. So that's really why it's easy to root you on, man. But, I want to end this here just with kind of some general Bulls talk. So obviously we got the trade deadline coming up. Just had a huge win over the Rockets last night, kind of overshadowed by whenever we got the Bears on, man, it's tough for us. It's tough for us to think about the Bulls, and I totally get that. But
not for me. I'll always be watching the Bulls.
I like it. And me too, man. Me too. So really, we got about a month. Well, beginning of February for the trade deadline. A bunch of trade requests have been made by certain journalists online, putting it in the system and everything. But I just want to ask a true Bulls fan like you, do you actually see the Bulls making any moves with this roster?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think they'll try. Like it seems like part of Eversley and AK's DNA is like to, constantly be striving for perfection or to better the team. I think one of the big challenges, like I mentioned earlier, was that they haven't been healthy all year. So it's like frustrating probably from their standpoint, like, hey, I can't evaluate this team we've put together because they haven't fully played together, over an extended period of time. So I don't foresee anything major happening. I think that everybody's talking about, Ben Simmons or, a Dame or something like this. Like, I don't see any of that happening, but I could see them trying to bring in like another, power forward big man to sort of help stabilize that position. Obviously Tony Bradley, I think, has been doing a good job. You got Simonovic, who got a couple spot minutes, but really he's just developing. He's so young. And obviously Javante and AC and Alize have all been getting some minutes, at that power forward position, but they're undersized. Not that they're not doing an exemplary job. Right. So I could definitely see, some sort of tweaks, but I don't see anything major happening. So we'll see. Who knows what magic they can sort of spin up, in the front office. But I would think it's more of a minor thing versus like some, big major shakeup at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you. And in fact, I kind of hope that that's what happens. I'm really pretty satisfied with how we're playing right now. We're finally, I don't want to say we're finally gelling together, because like you said, we still haven't had a full healthy roster. But again, I think the rational thing would probably to solidify another big man, preferably power forward, with Patrick Williams out. But yeah, I'm hoping you're right. Honestly, that sounds good to me. I'm hoping maybe you can make the decisions for Ack, because I trust Ack. I trust Ack. I really do. But you're right. I mean, you can tell he's always thinking about it, though. He's not ruling out anything. Trying to perfect the squad. I mean, I think we're gonna have a win now mentality. Given what we've seen so far, I think start of the season, people were worried that we would really just be, a solid regular season team, and they were kind of writing us off for the playoffs. But now you got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, we can go toe to toe with any team in the league right now, I think. So, obviously when fully healthy. So, well, it's a great season, man, to get started on this again. So I'm happy to see you out there. It was cool to put a face to the brand, man, because this, like I said, this is pretty iconic, especially for me growing up. I'm a little bit younger, so I was I was around, I was in like 5th grade when that was going down, and that was just when I just had fallen in love with basketball. So it hit me in the nostalgia bone for sure. So I appreciate you hopping on and doing this, and we look forward to working with you in the future, man, and go Bulls.
Yeah, totally, man. Well, Nick, I really appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you and the rest of the Just Another Year crew, supporting us and helping us spread our message and get the brand out. So, obviously holidays are just around the corner. So I want to wish you and everybody else listening a happy and healthy holiday season, a great new year, and looking forward to what the season brings. And definitely go Bulls, see red, and excited to see what Bulls Nation brings to it for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, man. Well, that'll do it for Just Another Year Chicago Bulls edition. Thank you again to Zach for bringing the bench mob presence, blessing us with the presence here. And we will catch you guys soon. Keep seeing red.